Hi, this is Rachel from Little Bird Quilting, and in this video we're going to be creating this 12 by 12 inch basic envelope pillow. And when I say envelope, I mean it doesn't have a zipper or anything. It just has two flaps that are overlapping each other to create a little pocket for you to be able to put a pillow form inside of. So let's go ahead and get started. Alrighty, let me get my little helper out of the way. Let go. Let go. No, you cannot take it with you. I know you like it. Go ahead and get down. No, you cannot stay. So he has messed everything up. Okay, come on, Cormac. Let me have this. So here is our pillow that we're going to be creating today. We have a 8.5 inch space in the center, and I'm using a decorative fabric to fill that space, but I know some of you are working with Patty Ann from Patty Ann's Place to create a foiled or a vinyl or a decorative centerpiece. So that is what some of you will have in the center. I don't have a piece that's decorated with something else, so I'm just using a piece of fabric that has a really nice print on it. So for the sample that I'm creating today, it is going to be Halloween themed. So for my center section, I have cut a piece of fabric that is 9 by 9 inches. Then I'm going to be putting two borders on. Boy, he just knocked everything out of the way. I'm going to be putting two borders on. My first border I have cut to 1.5 inches by 9 inches, two pieces. Those are what's going to go. Let me go ahead and lay this out so you guys can see how it'll be coming together. I'm going to be laying a strip on each side, and these strips are 1.5 inches cut. Then I'm going to be adding a top and bottom strip. These top and bottom strips are 1.5 inches by 11. Then I'm going to be adding a second border, and my second border is cut 1.75 inches for these first two pieces, 1.75 inches by 11. And then my top and bottom piece are 1.75 inches by 13.5, because 13.5 is the overall finished size I want the front of my pillow to be. I have two pieces of fabric that I have cut to 13.5 by 9.5, and that is what's going to be creating that envelope pocket for the back of our pillow, so that we can put in a pillow form inside, and then it just closes up. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Let me move these two back pieces out of the way. Gonna slide all these pieces over. Now I'm going to be using a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and I also am going to go ahead and I want to pin my pieces, just because my pieces are cut to the exact size they need to be, and I don't want them to shift at all. So I'm making sure that my picture is going right side up, and I am just going to put a pin at the bottom and a pin at the top. And I'm going to go ahead and rotate it around and get my other side ready as well. We've got one pin down here, making sure my edge is lined up. Then another pin at the top. And I'm going to be sewing, all of my seam allowances are a 1/4 inch. So I am going to set my machine to a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and we're going to go ahead and get started. Now this pillow is going to be a finished size of 12 inches. So I'm going to have enough space in the middle of this to put a 12-inch pillow form inside it. And I've given myself, when I've got this all sewn together, this front area is going to be 13.5 by 13.5. Okay, so we got those 2 side pieces put on. Now I am going to press these open, press them nice and flat. So now I'm going to put my top piece on. I'll line that up. I'm going to put a pin in the bottom just to hold it and make sure that it's not shifting. And then another up at the top. I try not to sew over my pins. I can say that sometimes I do, but it's not necessarily the best thing for your machine. But there are times that you just need that fabric to stay exactly where it is, and the only way you're going to get that to happen is by leaving that pin in. So let's get this. Gonna line up this one. These pins do not want to go. This is a black batik fabric, and they just don't want to go in it very easily. So there is the bottom of our first border. Now let me press this up. Now I'm going to add my 2 sides for my second border. I'm gonna go ahead and lay them both on there. Bring them over here so I can get them pinned down. And I'm just gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna be pinning at the bottom and pinning at the top. Gonna rotate this around. Whoops. Pinning at the top and at the bottom. As you can tell, I just went over that pin and it did a little pop, but it's okay. The needle did hit it, but we survived. Now I'm going to go ahead and press these open. Now I'm going to put on my last two pieces. My second piece fell on the floor. Let me grab that. So now by adding these two borders, we've enlarged this to be 13.5 inches. And you don't have to use two borders. If you don't want to use two borders, you can just use one border. You just want to get that center section to the usable size that you have a pillow form for. I have a 12.5 inch pillow form, so that's why we're making a 12.5 inch or 12 inch pillow. Now we just have to put on this bottom piece. And put a pin one end, pin down here at the other, and press this up. Whoops, we ran out of, I believe, bobbin thread, did we? No, I'm not really sure what happened. I don't think it started sewing, so we're gonna have to do this bottom area again. So there we have our 13.5 by 13.5 inch front for our pillow. Now we need to make the back of our pillow. And we're going to do that by taking two pieces of fabric. They are 9.5 by 13.5. So they're both the same size. And we're gonna go ahead and I'm going to press a 1/2 inch up. I'm going to press both of these a 1/2 inch up, and then I'm going to roll it and do another 1/2 inch. And it doesn't have to be exactly a 1/2 inch. It just needs to be close. So there we have one. It's a 1/2 inch, and then I'm rolling it again and pressing another 1/2 inch. Ooh, not 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch. So now I have one side, and this is going to be on the short side. So this is 13.5 inches, and this was my 9.5 inches. And I'm gonna go ahead and do a stitch, and I'm gonna just stitch about 1/8 or 1/4 of an inch away from where my fold is. We just want to secure this. This is the side of the pillow, the envelope pillow, that's gonna be on the inside. So you're not gonna see the stitch line. So there's our first one. So now this is going to be the one that we're going to see, because see, he's going to be laying on top of this way. So I want to do 2 really nice straight rows of stitches. So I'm going to start, and I'm going to line up about 1/8 of an inch away from that fold. And I'm just going to do a straight stitch all the way down. I'm going to try and keep it as straight as I can because I want it to look nice as well. Now I'm going to move over 1/8 of an inch, and I'm going to do a second row of stitches just right next to that first row of stitches. So now, when I flip it over, I have 2 really nice straight rows of stitches that are going to look nice. The back of my pillow is going to have that little effect as well. So now I'm going to take, I have 3 pieces, my 2 back pieces and my front panel. I'm going to lay my front panel out because remember, now I'm going to be creating that pillow. So this, the one that has the nice stitch, is the piece I'm going to put down first. And I'm going to line up my edges. And I'm going to take my second piece and I'm going to line up my edges. And that gives me a nice 3-inch overlap. I like having a larger overlap because sometimes your pillows are a little fluffier than you expect. And that 12-inch pillow needs a little give. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pin all of my edges. Making sure it stays straight. It moved over a little. And now I'm going to be actually creating that pillow form. And the one thing I do want to do now is I'm going to be now using a 1/2 inch. I want a larger area because I'm going to do a straight stitch and then we're going to come back and do a zigzag. That'll just keep it from fraying, or help it keep it from not fraying as bad. So let me go ahead and set my machine up for 1/2 inch. And let's see, that should be. And where my pillow has the overlap, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just do a little bit of a back stitch right on top of my stitches, just to make it a little more secure. When I get to the corner, I'm going to rotate with my presser foot, rotate around and then keep going. And that extra beep we keep hearing is my machine telling me that my bobbin is low. So let's cross our fingers and hope that we can get all the way around without my bobbin thread running out. Now here's where my pillow is overlapping, so I'm gonna stitch forward. I'm gonna do some back stitching. And when I get to the other side, I know you're low. You can do a little more back stitching and then keep going. I went a little too far. I'm going to shift that over. My last corner. Back stitch because that's where that overlap is. Okay, so we made it all the way around. And now I want to clip my corners. Let's see if because I forgot to put a pair of scissors over here. You could pink all of the edges. That would help with the fraying and make it a little more secure, but I'm gonna just cut the points off of all of my corners. And now I am going to set my machine to zigzag, maybe. I am going to switch out my bobbin thread because I know I don't have enough. It's not going to match, but this is for the zigzag portion, so it'll be okay. It'll be hidden. So now I'm going to set my machine to zigzag, and it's just the basic zigzag for my machine. If you have a serger, you can serge your edges. That would be a little quicker. But my serger is in another room, and this zigzag stitch is going to be enough. It'll just enable you to be able to toss it in the washing machine and everything not come apart. Almost done. Hey there, buddy. Just a little bit more. Ooh. He just jumped and pushed my table. Okay, so now we have a zigzag all of our edges. So now we're going to turn our pillow inside or right side out. And I'm just going to push on my corners with my finger just to get a nice clean edge, clean point there. And there is my envelope pillow. Let me go ahead and pull the pillow form out of this pillow. And that's a really cool part. You can just switch pillows. And there's our little Halloween pillow with a 8.5 by 8.5 inch center area, so that you can either use a decorative fabric or you can do a monogram or whatever you want in that center. Hope you enjoyed the video. Have a good day.